Hey friends, I know it's been a little bit since I was into rehearsal to go over the basics of swordplay, so I thought I'd put together a video for you to be able to review on your own before we get back to rehearsing for Romeo and Juliet. I'll be demonstrating with a small sword that I have that is very similar to the foils that you have in your practice space. Since I don't imagine you have your own swords at home to practice with, you can use a yardstick because it will effectively do the same thing. You can have a way to hold it and you'll see where the flat is, where each edge is, and see that that edge is aligned with your knuckles. So as you're practicing, you can just use this in your own space. First thing I want to go over is the parts of the sword. So here we have the blade. The blade is divided into three parts. You've got the fort, which is closest to where you hold it. You've got the mid blade, and you have the foible. And then at the end, we refer to this as the tip or the point. It has two edges. You've got the true edge, which is the part that faces away from you if you're holding it. It's going to line up with these knuckles as you grip it, and you have the false edge, which is the one that will generally face towards you. The hilt, we've got the pommel, we've got the grip, which is where we're going to hold it, and don't worry about all of this stuff, that's not on the fencing foils that you're using. But then this part here is called the guard. That's what protects your hand from getting smacked by the other person's sword. Our grip, let me see if I can move closer here. So I am going to grip it by placing my forefinger up close to the guard. I'm going to wrap my fingers around the grip, and I'm going to place my thumb on the other side and pinch it thusly. As I hold the blade, my palm will either face up in supination or it will face down in pronation. Supination, pronation. So now I'm going to demonstrate stance and footwork. As I go through this demonstration, I am going to hold the blade in my left hand so that I can be a mirror to you. If I remember correctly, all of the principles are right-handed. If that's not the case, I'm very sorry. So I'm going to hold the blade in my dominant hand with the grip that I just demonstrated. For my on-guard position, I'm going to turn my right foot 90 degrees to my left, and I'm going to step out just a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. I'm going to have a bend in my knees, and I'm going to have my shoulders above my hips, and my hips halfway between my front and back foot. The blade is going to be held with my point aimed at my imaginary opponent's chest, not at the face. Remember, we want to protect our partner's face, always. So I'm going to aim at my imaginary partner's chest, and that's going to be in a straight line from the tip to my elbow. Right now I'm holding it in supination. I could also hold it in pronation if I wanted. And while I'm on guard, my elbow is about a handspan from my rib cage. And I can have my left hand either in a ready position here, or I can hold it high to be able to counterbalance and like bring myself back to the on-guard position as I lunge. But this is our on-guard. All right, and now as I demonstrate some more footwork, just imagine I have a sword in my hand. I'm just putting it down so I don't have to worry about stabbing the walls. So, for my on-guard position, I can advance, which means I move my front foot first and then my back foot. I take that step, front foot, back foot. That's an advance. I can advance again. The retreat is just the opposite. I move back foot, then my front foot. Retreat. Retreat, right? We can also pass. That just means if I'm passing forward, my back foot passes my front foot, which stays in place. And I turn that back foot again, so they're still at 90 degrees. And then I can pass forward again, and I'm back into my comfortable on guard position. I can do a pass back the same way. I can pass back again. I can also do a double pass, which means that if I'm doing a double pass forward, my back foot passes by my front foot, and I don't turn my hips because I'm just setting this and passing again, right? So that's a double pass. If I double pass back, I'm going pass, pass, right? To double pass forward, there's two passes that are happening. My back foot passes, my front foot passes. And then to go back, pass, pass. And it's all one smooth motion, the double pass, right? So I can single pass forward, single pass back, double pass forward, double pass back. Advance, retreat. Okay, so now we're going to review our parries or blocks. And again, a reminder that I am your mirror. So as you are right-handed, I'm using my left hand so that you can mimic me as you face the screen. So I'm going to take my on guard position, and I'm going to imagine that my body is divided in four with a midline that goes across my belly button almost, and a center line that goes right down between my eyes and splits me in half right and left, right? So my first parry protects my lower left side, right? So I'm going to drop this point, and I'm going to check my watch, see what time it is, right? So the true edge is facing out, right? For all of these parries, we're going to gather the blade and move it out because we want to send an attack away from our bodies, right? With all of these parries, we're also going to have a bent elbow, right? So this is parry one because if you have your sword in your sheath, it's the first parry that you get to when you draw, right? So that's one. And also, as you can see, I have the sword out in front of me as well, still with the bent elbow, but I'm not protecting myself here, right? I want to keep the blade that is attacking me far away from my body, right? So bent elbow, and I'm protecting the lower left side. That's parry one. Parry two, I just rotate my wrist and I turn this true edge that way, right? So I'm now protecting my lower right side. It's parry two. Parry three, I make a semicircle. Remember, I want to bring my sword inside and then go out, right? And this protects my upper right side. Parry three. Parry four, I'm just going to turn my wrist so that the true edge now faces out and protects my upper left-hand side. That's four. And then parry five is going to protect an attack from above. I'm going to gather it to me and lift and push out. And that true edge is going to face at like a 45 degree angle away from me, right? And you'll see I don't have it here directly above my head because that means that, a blade can come in and get in front of this and hit me. So I've got it at a 45 degree out in front of me, right? Above and forward. So we'll walk through those again. So from my on guard, I have parry one, parry two, parry three, parry four, and parry five, right? And as we move diagonally across this X, if I'm going from parry one to parry three, I want to make a circle that goes that way, right? Because if I'm blocking something here and then something comes this way, I want to still push it away, right? If I go the other way and try to get there, I'm pulling that attack towards me if I get there later. That's why we always want to bring it towards us and then move away. And same if I'm going the other direction. I'm going to drop this point and push out, right? So now if I'm going from 1 to 4, I'm going to, that's a hard one. I'm going to have to make a circle here and push out, right? And then from 4 to 1, I make a circle, push out. Sorry, this is an alternate version of parry 1, protects the same place, but instead of being in pronation with palm down, you're in supination with palm up. That's another one that we can use. So this is what they call parry 7. Don't ask about what happened to 6. I'll explain that later. So from 2 to 4, I want to lift my point and push out. And same thing from 4 to 2. I'm going to drop my point and push out and away from me. So we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I can drop down to 2, 2, and I can go to 4, and then I can move over to 3, push out, and I can drop down and go to 1. So there are the parries and some ways to move between them. Okay, now we're going to go over our attacks. So we have a cut and a thrust. Our cut is an attack with the edge of the blade. So in this instance, if I am going to cut to my opponent's 3, I am going to first gather my weapon to me, and the hilt is going to move first. So the hilt is going to move, and then I finish at a full extension. So my arm is straight from elbow to hand, and that line continues all the way to the point of my blade. So I'm at full extension here. There's no bend in my elbow, right? A quick reminder for targets of attack. If you are cutting or thrusting to somebody's high or low line, remember that we drew that kind of grid across ourselves. The high line is going to be between shoulder and elbow, at like the middle of the bicep, right? So targets at the high line, whether they are cuts or thrusts, are going to be at this level, right? We don't want them to drift up next to the face. They're gonna be here. So high line is right here. And then low line is gonna be below that midline and just off the hip, right? So we're like aiming to cut at like just off the pocket, right? And then if I'm going to cut to that low line, I gather and I fully extend, right? So again, I gather, the hilt moves first, and I extend. Straight line from shoulder to point. In this, I am doing what is called casting. So I am not trying to swing like a baseball bat, right? And then like stop my momentum. I'm like flicking to that point, as though I'm casting a fishing line, right? Right? It begins, the hilt moves, and I flick out to that straight line, right? And I'm sending the energy beyond my imaginary partner. Actually, let me see if I can use this, right? So rather than trying to swing into something and try to stop and not hit it hard, I am just flicking, right? So I'm pointing past. I wind up pointing past my partner, right? Another point of review with these attacks, yes, I have a yardstick now, is distance and targeting on or offline. So when I'm in my on guard position and I can reach out, or even lunge to touch my partner, I'm in distance, right? If at my full extent I can touch my opponent, I am in distance. If I am far enough away that at my full extent I cannot touch my partner, we're out of distance, right? And that's going to depend on how much you reach, right? Because if I just thrust, I'm out of distance. But if I take a step and lunge, I'm now in distance, right? So footwork affects our distance. If I aim an attack at my partner, if I draw an imaginary line around the outside of their body, if I aim an attack at the inside of that line anywhere, right, that is on target or on line. If I aim anywhere outside of that imaginary line, right, so if I cut and I stop, or if I thrust anywhere, right, shoot, shoot, all of these are offline, right? So when we're talking about building choreography and attacks and parries, I'm going to be focusing on our distance and our targeting, whether it is on or offline. And for a thrust, it is the point that moves first. So I'm going to aim at the target that I want to attack, and the point is going to move first, and my arm is going to extend and follow that point, and it's going to finish at full extension again. So no bend in the elbow, straight from shoulder to point, right? So if I'm going to thrust, it's just the point moving first. I drop it to the target that I want to aim at and extend, right? Extend, right? And then for the lunge, it's just a thrust that we then lunge after, right? So my back foot stays planted. I'm going to begin with a thrust. So point moves first, and then I step out into this lunge, and I have my knee, my toe, and my point all aimed in the same direction. And right now I'm stretching my left hand back for counterbalance. So here I am in the lunge, straight from shoulder to point, and my knee and my toes are all pointed in the same direction. I'm not cocked this way, right? Because that's going to put some weird pressure on the knee, and we don't want that. So make sure that knee, toe, and point are all going in the same direction. And then, to gather myself back from this, I use this hand, I bend it to kind of scoop myself back, scoop, and I'm back in my on guard. All right, that's it for my review of what we went over. If you think I missed anything, or if you have any questions, feel free to message me. I'll leave my contact information for Aaron to share with you, and I look forward to getting back into rehearsals with y'all.